Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint by Sing Shong. Chapter 34. Emergency Defense. Part 3. I couldn't kill Gong Pildu because he was useful in future scenarios, but I needed Gong Pildu to leave his land. This was a difficult dilemma, so I focused on the premise of the dilemma. For example, if he was on private land, then I had to destroy the private land. He is out. This dog. However, using this method required strong force. An overwhelming force that could destroy a huge private land in one blow. That's why I hastened to evolve Li Hyunsung. Eok. The people who fell down to the third underground floor groaned with pain. The operation was a success. The green zones disappeared and the landlords lost their rooms. Gong Pildu's face was covered with dust and looking this way. As he was about to open his mouth, Bai Hyung's voice entered their ears. "What are you doing now?" "Wah. Be quiet. Crazy bastard. The Dakibis of Chunmuro are freaking out because of you." I had a headache from the messages of the constellations that rang in my head. The constellation Prisoner of the Golden Headband likes your recklessness. The constellation Bald General of Justice likes your revolution. The constellation Abyssal Black Flame Dragon likes the destruction and chaos. 300 coins have been sponsored. Why, you bastard? Kill them. The Alliance members shouted at us. I started running down to the platform with Li Hyunsung. The exclusive skill, Character List is activated. Plus. Character List, Name, Li Hyunsung. Attribute, Person who has regained justice, Rare. Stigma, Great Mountain Smash LV1, Great Mountain Push LV2. Exclusive skills, Bayonet Skills LV2, Camouflage LV2, Patience LV1, Sense of Justice LV2, Weapons Training LV3. Plus. The evolution of Li Hyunsung was successful. Strictly speaking, it was just the start. But the fact that Li Hyunsung could use Great Mountain Smash would quickly enhance the power of the party. Hyunsung SSI, how many more times can you use it? Probably once or twice more. Li Hyunsung was gasping for breath and obviously quite worn out. It was natural. The Great Mountain Smash Stigma was an ultimate skill that consumed a tremendous amount of stamina and magic power. There weren't many skills that exceeded Great Mountain Smash when it came to pure physical force among the physical reinforcement type skills. The group of people scattered all over the place seemed to be running in this direction. I asked Yu Senga, who was running in the front. Was there anywhere you couldn't break? I broke both of them. I didn't realize the rooms could be broken like this. We banged hard on the ground together and it smashed. Yong Heewon followed. Yu Senga, Yong Heewon, and Lee Gilyung took out the small green zones. Most of the green zones fit 3 or fewer people, apart from Gong Pildu's green zone. There was an ambiguous scale, but there was a separate person handling those. Hey! Can't you hear me? What are you going to do now? On the other hand, Bai Hyung was still shouting across the Dakibi communication. What are you worried about? Have you forgotten? I don't have the only channel in Chunmuro. Do you really not know what will happen if you do this? Of course I knew. Maybe the constellations in the channel with Gong Pildu would be in a frenzy right now. What channel is Gong Pildu in? Biryu's channel. Burr 3642. Biryu is the one who came while you were busy for a bit. That's right. That asshole. How is his subscription configured? It is the flagship channel for the Finding Amusement group. The Dakibis, whose main purpose was to find amusement. That's why their broadcasts were radical. Great. Then the response within the channel would be much hotter than expected. Everyone would have eaten the sweet potatoes properly. I headed down the stairs of the transfer corridor to line 4 and saw a welcome face. The blade was moving through the air. You broke them? Yes. It was easy. Li Jiahai's role was to take out the green zones that contained 5 to 8 people. It was a task that Yung Heewon would find hard to do alone. Indeed, she was Yu Zhonghyuk's disciple and was the incarnation of the sage hero. Now there were no more green zones left in Chunmuro. Now what? Those jerks will come running wildly. Ah, there they are. Li Jiahai's expression twisted as she looked behind me. I'm not going to help you this time. I don't need it. Yung Heewon scowled as she watched Li Jiahai retreating. What is with her? Come to think of it, Yung Heewon didn't know about Li Jiahai. But there was no time to tell her. Haha, you are fucked now. A message was heard along with Bai Hyung's words. A bounty scenario has occurred. Plus. Bounty scenario, Assassination Commission, category, sub. Difficulty, C. Clear conditions. The constellations of channel #BIR 3642 have requested to kill a certain person. Please kill Kim Dokja of Chunmuro Station. Time limit, 10 minutes. Compensation, 2,000 coins. Failure, none. Plus. I thought this situation would unfold. It was going to be a lot of fun. Now all the incarnations in the region would gather on the platform of Line 3 to catch me. Yung Heewon asked by his side. I will receive 2,000 coins if I kill Dokja Sasai right now? Why, are you going to kill me? Perhaps. If you give me 200,000 coins, then I don't know. Does this girl know how much 200,000 coins were worth? Dokja Sasai. Go behind me. Li Hyansung stepped out ahead of me. Yung Heewon stayed beside me while Yu Sanga and Li Gilyung moved to block any access. It was a defense formed around me. Yung Heewon smiled. Now I can pay back my debt. Dokja Sasai will try to block it somehow. There were people showing hostility around us. The angry landowners and the tenants were blinded by the bounty quest. I watched Li Gilyung holding the weapon and opened my mouth. Don't be nervous. I lightly stroked Li Gilyung's shoulder and moved towards the railway tracks. We don't have to fight them. It was a few turns. I had read about such a scene. I didn't have time to check which regression it was, but Yu Zhonghyuk had destroyed the green zones as soon as he arrived at Chunmuro. Even then, it was like the current situation. All green zones in this region have been destroyed and the main scenario has collapsed. The difficulty is automatically adjusted according to the remaining schedule of the scenario. The scenario content is updated. Plus. Main scenario number 3, Emergency Defense, category, Main. Difficulty, B. Clear conditions. All the green zones in the region are destroyed and the monsters that were going to be created in the remaining days have suddenly run wild. Survive against the flood of monsters for the remaining time. Duration, 8 hours. Compensation, 1,000 coins. Failure. Plus. Originally, there were 3 days remaining in the scenario. Now the monsters supposed to be created during the remaining time of the green zone scenario would emerge all at once. In other words, it was simple. The emergency defense has begun. The defense game had started. What? The people approaching me started screaming. The cries of monsters were heard from outside the screen door. The feast of monsters moved like an angry wave. Crazy! What the hell is this? The platform of Line 3 quickly became a mess. The faces of the people became speculative as they watched the monsters coming from all sides. The bounty scenario was completely forgotten about. Growling. A few growls ran and bit some of the alliance members. The upset people were shouting. Now was the only chance. I shouted to my party. Go to the transfer route. I started jumping up the transit stairs with my friends. By the time we reached the upper level, people were blocking the path. What? Get out of the way. Do you want to fall? I kicked some of the followers and pulled out a blade. The people were surprised by the white pure star energy blade and backed away. You haven't grasped the situation yet. What? Even if you come up, you won't be able to survive. There was a sense of despair in the expressions of the people. There were no more rooms. Now there were no more safe zones from the monsters in Chunmuro. What should we do? What else? Fight. Don't speak crazy words. This is all because of you. If you hadn't broken our rooms. I triggered the Blade of Faith and used it on the transfer stairs. Quorum. Yuaak. The center of the staircase fell with a large sound, along with the people. It was cruel, but necessary. Crazy. Quickly find another staircase. Quickly. Well, I don't think it would happen. Li Hyansung was already running. I smashed the transit stairs we came up on, and there was only one staircase remaining. Subsequently, the sound of arguing and something breaking was heard on the other side. Shit. Wah. The cries of the people trapped on the platform of line 3 were heard. Li Jihai approached me and asked. Ajusi. This isn't what you told me. If you leave it like this, I know. I looked at the lower floor that was becoming pandemonium. If I left it like this, they would all be killed. Whether it was from the monsters or using each other's bodies as a stepping stone to come upstairs. This wasn't what I wanted. The exclusive skill bookmark can now be activated. Character bookmarks is activated. Available bookmark slots, 3. Bringing up the list of available bookmarks. People listed in the bookmark slots. 1. The Delusion Demon Kim Namwon, Understanding 35. 2. Steel Sword Li Hyansung, Understanding 65. 3. Demagogue Cheon Inho, Understanding 20. I activated the third bookmark. The number 3 bookmark has been activated. The level of the bookmark skill is low, shortening the activation time. Activation time, 5 minutes. Your understanding of the character is low, so only a part of the character's skill is activated. Insight Viewpoint has been activated. Suddenly, it felt like my tongue was coming alive on its own. This was how Cheon Inho felt. I looked downstairs. In the middle of the mess, I could see a middle-aged man. Hey Gong Pildu. How long are you going to stand there? Gong Pildu glared at me. This dog. Don't you have to act in order to live? If you move, everyone else can live. The power of insight permeated the ears of all the frightened people. Pipildu SSI. Pipildu SSI, please save us. Gong Pildu's expression distorted. I felt good. This was what Cheon Inho would have felt at Gumho Station. The third scenario isn't as hard as you think. Once everyone gives up on the rooms and participates in the defense, there are enough people to handle the monsters. My words were half true. If Chunmuro had united before I arrived here, there would be far less victims. After all, the biggest pitfall of this scenario was the green zone. If Gong Pildu fights with the people, you can survive. Those who fight together would survive, those who ran away would die. The sponsor behind Li Jihai agrees with your wisdom. The constellation Maritime War God nods his head. Now there are no rooms for you to run away to. Forget about whether you are a landlord or tenant and fight. Or you will all die. The more urgent the situation was, the more the effect of insight would increase. Damn, this fucking guy. Pildu SSI. Please help us. The alliance members gathered around Gong Pildu. If he ran away here alone, Gong Pildu's landlord alliance would collapse. In the end, Gong Pildu made his decision. Damn it. Everybody gather here. The people downstairs started gathering around Gong Pildu. I need time to install a new arm zone. Everybody just hang on. The key was Gong Pildu's arm zone. However, the weak point was that arm zone took time to install every time it moved. Blood splattered everywhere and people screamed as their limbs were torn off. Aya. As expected, the first ones who abandoned the formation were the tenants, not the alliance members. You Senga SSI. Yes. Please leave it to me. I didn't need to explain it. Yusenga already understood what she needed to do. Her binding thread stretched out and started to rescue the people who couldn't fight anymore. In any case, their mission was to buy time for Gong Pildu to deploy armed zone. Thank you. The tenants hung from the threat and were pulled upstairs. The rescued tenants were shaking as they wrapped up their injured area. In the meantime, some of the people with weapons carefully looked at me. I smiled at them and said, "Oh, do you want the bounty? The time limit for the bounty scenario has expired. The bounty hanging on Kim Dokja has been destroyed. Sorry, it is too late." I am sorry. The tenants seemed ashamed as they put away their weapons. I heard Gong Pildu's voice roaring from the bottom. Out of the way. The character Gong Pildu has used Arm Zone LV3. The character Gong Pildu has activated Arm Zone LV4. There was a mechanical sound as 5 turrets rose from the ground. The red magic bullets condensed in a short time and started firing. Do-do-do-do-do. Quang. 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 The ground rats screamed as they were hit by the bombardment of magic bullets while the growls came to a halt. The group of people cried out. As expected of Pildu SSI. Wah. It was truly Gong Pildu. In a defense-type scenario, there was no incarnation that surpassed a player's combat effectiveness. The 10 evils weren't called that for nothing. All of you damn scum disappear. The agitated Gong Pildu randomly fired. Li Hyansung spoke with admiration. It is a really tremendous stigma. Is it okay when the magic power consumption is so big? It is a good stigma, so it will be okay for a while. Should we help? Gong Pildu alone is sufficient. If we do down, then he will be distracted and stop shooting. The defense master sponsor behind Gong Pildu was completely suited for this type of scenario. As long as he supported Gong Pildu wouldn't die here. As long as the sponsorship continued. I sat down and stretched out my legs. We will be sucking honey for a while. Is it time for personal maintenance already? Li Hyansung sat down with me, and the party members started to relax, one by one. Yong Hee-won asked. Thank you. I didn't get enough sleep, can I sleep now? Yes. 10 minutes later, Yong Hee-won was lying on the ground and snoring. I said yes, but I really didn't know how she could sleep so easily. Aren't we too easygoing? Yusenga sounded concerned. Indeed, it would be confusing. There wasn't a scenario like this so far. In fact, all we did was survive the brink of a crisis. Think of it as standing on the right line. Then over there. They got the wrong line. The confusion on the lower level had almost died down because of Gong Pildu. Do-do-do-do-do. Yuwa. He should have lived a better life. Fuck. Fuckers. In the midst of the endless procession of monsters, Gong Pildu's screams echoed. Chapter 35. Emergency Defense. Part 4. 1 hour after the battle began, Gong Pildu fought and fought. The number of monsters had barely decreased, but it was still great. Gong Pildu was considered to have the strongest defense among the 10 evils for a reason. You scum. The character Gong Pildu's arm zone has leveled up. The character Gong Pildu's private land has leveled up. The character Gong Pildu has acquired the protective wall skill. The level up speed of Arm Zone was fast. The sponsor behind Gong Pildu was rushing to support his growth. If he could survive here, Gong Pildu's growth would be enormous. As long as he could survive here. Aoi. According to the scenario, Gong Pildu had to hold on for 7 more hours. It would have been nice if I had popcorn. Too bad. Li Jihai was giggling next to me as she watched the bottom floor. She told me earlier that I should save them. It was truly a transformation in the disposition of Yu Zhonghyuk's disciple. By the way, why isn't Yu Zhonghyuk here? How should I know? Master is always busy. Busy, yes, he might be busy. The person trying to be all alone was the busiest. I looked down at the dying Gong Pildu as I asked, "What time did Yu Zhonghyuk enter the dungeon?" "It is roughly 9 a.m. today." Li Jihai stopped speaking and stared at me. "Wait a minute, how do you know that master entered a dungeon?" I ignored Li Jihai and calculated the time. Now it was 8 p.m. Using simple calculations, it had already been over 11 hours since Yu Zhonghyuk entered. Yet he still hadn't come out. Damn, I had to move. Yu Zhonghyuk was the main character and it would be difficult if something happened to him. I opened the Dakibi communication. Bai Hyung. Bai Hyung, floating in the air, turned to look at me. "What is it? Calling me so suddenly?" "Open the Dakibi bag." "What?" "And no. I am currently getting a lot of subscriptions." "I know. My stock price was rising due to my actions with Gong Pildu. My actions of laying a trap and then sitting back meant the constellations of the Fun Seekers group wouldn't still be on the channel which Gong Pildu belonged to. Where would the constellations go after leaving the channel? New constellations have entered the channel. It was naturally Bai Hyung's channel. #BI7623 channel is ready for an expansion. Hoo hut, look at this, look at this. Now my channel is also. It wasn't unreasonable for Bai Hyung to be acting like this. But this wasn't the time for amusement. If you don't want your channel to be ruined, open it quickly. You can see that there will be an advertisement in preparation for the channel expansion. Ah, shit, really? Bai Hyung grumbled but opened the Dakibi bag after showing an advertisement. It was finally time to use the coins I had saved. "I'll give you 5,000 coins. Upgrade me to a gold member." Bai Hyung stared at me quietly and sighed. It was followed by system messages. 5,000 coins have been consumed. Congratulations! You have become a gold member of the Dakibi bag. My member rating changed and the background of the Dakibi bag also changed. Coins were really good. New item listings were added. I put the necessary items into the shopping cart. Asterisk behind the scenes contract, 10,000 C. Asterisk intermediate magic power recovery potion X10 to 5,000 C. 1 contract and 10 intermediate potions, this should be enough. The spending was a bit big, but the channel was going to be expanded. It wouldn't be long before I recovered it. Bai Hyung was nervous when he saw the items I bought. "Why is there a contract? Have you already forgotten the terms? You can't have a sponsor." "What do you mean? Why would I get a sponsor now? Even if I was doing that, why would I buy the contract with my own coins?" At any rate, this Bai Hyung still needed a lot of work. 15,000 coins have been consumed. A behind-the-scenes contract has been acquired. 10 intermediate magic power recovery potions have been acquired. Yusenka showed curiosity when the items appeared out of thin air. "What is that?" "A contract to make a gap in Yule." I filled out the contract carefully, wrote my name in the gap section and waited quietly. It was time for the Yule to come. The sponsor for character Gong Pildu is asking for help from nearby constellations. Finally, the sponsor behind Gong Pildu reached his limits and started sending messages outside the channel. It was natural, since the sponsor didn't have many coins in the first place. Not everybody was rich just because they were a constellation. The constellation Prisoner of the Golden Headband scoffs. The other constellations in Gong Pildu's channel would have stopped sponsoring, and the incarnation was dying. Everything was going according to plan. Bai Hyung noticed something and muttered, "Wait a minute, surely you aren't." I talked towards Gong Pildu, who was in a half-dead state. "Hey, you over there. Do. Gong Pildu fired crazily and looked up at me while breathing heavily. "Will you die like this, or will you sign a contract with me?" What? "I'm not a constellation, so I can't be a sponsor. But if you want, I can be a person behind the scenes." "How about it?" "What is this bastard talking about?" "Gong Pildu, shut up. I'm not talking to you." "What?" I waved the contract in one hand and the intermediate magic power recovery potion in the other hand. "Answer quickly." "I will give these items to you if you sign with me." A message window flashed in front of me. The sponsor behind character Gong Pildu has revealed himself. The constellation Defense Master is looking at you like you are crazy. Indeed. He wasn't yet ready to be in Yule. Don't worry. He would be in a hurry as time passed. Bai Hyung was watching me. Are you crazy?" "This one as well. You are the first to try and support a constellation." "I can't do it?" "This is a constellation. Will it sign with an insignificant human?" "That is just your thoughts." The intermediate constellation, Defense Master. He was a low-level constellation compared to his ability. His world had long become a scenario and was completely destroyed. Therefore, the Defense Master's myth was no longer discussed. The myth had disappeared and the constellation couldn't get coins. One day, even his existence would disappear. That's why some constellations, including the Defense Master, were obsessed with looking for an incarnation. The constellations were remembered in the world through their chosen incarnation. That guy, he doesn't have any coins left. What? Gong Pildu's power had fallen sharply compared to before. Unlike the monarch of the small fries, the Defense Master was someone who cared about his incarnation. The fact that Gong Pildu was going to die meant he had run out of coins. It was obvious, but without coins, a new sponsor contract was impossible. Then what happened to a constellation who couldn't create a new incarnation? Once Gong Pildu dies, that guy will be forgotten. For a constellation, being forgotten meant death. Faint fear filled Bai Hyung's eyes. You are. Gong Pildu was a great card if I could afford it. Even Yu Jonghyuk had attempted to subjugate Gong Pildu several times in countless regressions. Of course, he had never been successful. Yu Sanga spoke. Dokja Sasai, that person will die. Gong Pildu was biting his lips so hard that blood was flowing. Now there were only too many turrets left in armed zone. It was time to end this. The constellation Defense Master is wondering about the contents of the contract. He was coming. Bai Hyung's eyes widened at the sight in front of him. Really? No, is this real? I showed the contract immediately. The constellation Defense Master has started reading the contract. Gong Pildu, who was shedding blood on the lower floor, suddenly shouted. He had probably heard a message from his sponsor. What? What is this message? What? He was being sold. What is going on Pildu SSI? The constellation Defense Master is asking for some time to think. After a while, I heard some good news. The constellation Defense Master has added a condition to the contract. If you agree with this condition, the constellation Defense Master will agree to contract with you. I immediately read the contract. 14. Incarnation Kim Dokja, Gap, recognizes the property rights of Constellation Defense Master, Yul, and should ensure the survival of Gong Pildu. 15. Incarnation Kim Dokja, Gap, should help Constellation Defense Master, Yul, so that his private property Gong Pildu grows well, guaranteeing Gong Pildu's life and his growth. In fact, this didn't need to be included. It was natural for Gong Pildu not to die if the contract was signed. The only thing that mattered for me was the third condition. 3. Incarnation Kim Dokja, Gap, has a command authority over Gong Pildu, the private property of Constellation Defense Master, up to 10 times a day. I checked the contract and nodded. I will sign the contract. Before long, a faint thread connected me and Gong Pildu. Then system messages were heard. The contract has been completed. You have become the co-sponsor of Gong Pildu due to the contract. Due to the contract, you have been given the right to command Incarnation, Gong Pildu. The duration of the contract is 5 years and it won't be automatically renewed. Yu Zhonghyuk would be stunned if he knew that Gong Pildu could be obtained so easily. If I hadn't read to the latter half of Ways of Survival, I wouldn't have known to use the behind-the-scenes contract this way. I handed the recovery potions to Yu Senga. Give this to Gong Pildu. You should give him one every 40 minutes. It is okay to give to him? She had to give it. If not, this main scenario wouldn't be cleared. Gong Pildu was confused after Yu Senga handed him a potion. What is this? Drink it and fight. Gong Pildu was suspicious for a moment but soon opened the potion's lid. Blue smoke emerged around his body and the destroyed turrets returned to their original appearance. The character Gong Pildu has completely recovered his magic power. Gong Pildu wiped the potion-stained lips and looked up at me. Stupid guy. Do you think I will forgive you because of this? Once I get out of here, it will be your end. Shut up, Gong Pildu. Under the terms of the contract, command rights is activated. Oof. Oof oof oof. Poor guy, he didn't even know what situation he was in. Fight hard. Don't touch my party members. Hup. Oof oof. Do 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 do. Yu Senga's eyes widened when she saw Gong Pildu listen to my orders. D-Doc SSI? WY is that person? I made a gap into a Yul. Did you write something? Now you can rest assured about Gong Pildu. Then the bombardment of messages from the constellations poured out. The constellation Secretive Plotter finds your idea interesting. The constellation Prisoner of the Golden Headband has dropped his stick at your strategy. The constellation Abyssal Black Flame Dragon thinks that you are impudent. I had secretly signed the contract, but these guys already noticed. The Defense Master was only intermediate level, but he was still a constellation. A mere human became a co-sponsor with a constellation. The impact on the constellations would be enormous. There would be a backlash among those like the Abyssal Black Flame Dragon. But many constellations are paying attention to you. A number of constellations want to become your sponsor. The constellations who realized my value were overwhelmingly larger. If they became my sponsor, they would be able to use the power of Defense Master. Then the owner of Gong Pildu's channel, Dakibi Biryu, appeared in the air. Constellations. WY, are you suddenly leaving? Don't go. Just wait a little longer. Biryu, whose channel was being ruined, made a desperate appeal. It was the Dakibi who created the food penalty and survival cost in Gumho Station. H. Hayek. And no. Dakibi Biryu gradually blurred and disappeared. Channel #BIR 3642 has been forced to leave after having the subscriptions reduced. Bai Hyung muttered in a trembling voice after seeing one channel falling to ruin. Excuse me. Dr. Janem? What is it? Were you aiming for Gong Pildu from the beginning? I shrugged. Crazy, human, what human did I sign with? Bai Hyung couldn't close his mouth. I didn't care. This place was organized and I needed to move on to the next place. I spoke to the bewildered party members who still hadn't grasped the situation. Everyone. I'm sorry, but I have to leave for a while. Huh? Now? There is a place I urgently need to go to. Hyeonsung SSI and Usanga SSI, please stay here. You don't have to do anything. Just throw Pildu a potion until the end of the scenario and relax. Young Hee-won asked, what about Gil-young and I? You will come with me. To where? It is hard to explain, but there is a bad guy. A bad guy? Yes. A bad person who disappeared to eat items alone, regardless if people die or not. From now on, I am going to hit him in the back of the head. It was very hard. Young Hee-won thought for a moment before asking. Is he worse than Gong Pildu? I contemplated for a moment before replying. He is much worse. Then let's go. I'll explain the details later. I moved with Young Hee-won and Lee Gil-young. Then somebody grabbed my shoulder. It was Lee Jae-hai. Wait, where are you going right now? In any case, this was good. Great. You can come along. Where are you going? Yu Jong-hyuk is in danger. Lee Jae-hai laughed like she thought I was joking. What nonsense are you saying? Master is in danger? My expression remained serious and Lee Jae-hai's laughter soon disappeared. Are you serious? No, how do you know this? How did I know? Perhaps I was the world's foremost, no, the second highest authority who knew her master. I checked the time. That jerk, he went to the hidden dungeon at exit 1? And it has been 11 hours since he entered? Lee Jae-hai spoke blankly. I remembered that Yu Jong-hyuk had attacked Chungmuro's hidden dungeon a total of 8 years. He failed twice and succeeded 6 times. The problem was that the 2 failures were concentrated in his early regressions. The 8th turn and the 11th turn. During the 8th regression, Yu Jong-hyuk died in Chungmuro's hidden dungeon. But the current Yu Jong-hyuk was the 3rd turn. At this rate, Yu Jong-hyuk will die today. If my guess was right, our damn regressor would be on the sunfish route.